Hey guys, Steven here, Fanatic Perspective. What a day of college football, as Fahim said right here. What a what a wild day. What a wild day. Wow. Look, we're gonna talk Texas. We're gonna talk about our game. You know how I am. Big on lessons, takeaways, lessons learned, good things, good takeaways that we can, continue to get better on week over week. We know what it is next Saturday. We know what it is November 30th. As I've been saying, Daddy's home, our second home in Texas College Station. And this is now officially the third belt to ass week. Y'all know what the first belt to ass week was? OU. Shout out to OU for handling their business tonight. Second belt to ass week was Arkansas. The third one is Texas A&M. So we are going to talk ball today. Make sure as you're here, hit the like button, subscribe, the whole bit. We're here on the late night. I'm here, Fanatic Perspective After Dark. Lots of upsets today. Somebody said Sheriff Steven, nice hat. Yeah, I had to. I saw everybody else. I had to get in on the mood. Everybody else was rocking, they stuff. I know I didn't break out my felt. My felt drink. You know what I'm saying? If we want to get seasonal with it, this was just for y'all. But my felt drink, I got to clean that up before I just break that out. You know what I'm saying? Maybe when we make the playoffs, we'll break that drain out. But as Vanelise 18 said, the belt to ass tour rolls on. Next stop. Um, Look, we'll talk about the game. I already see the comments rolling in about the quarterback situation, as true Texas fans do. Man, it feels good to be here and talking ball with you guys. Let me get to this super chat from Darren. Darian. Um, $5 super chat. Thank you, Darian. I don't know what happened in the third quarter, but it almost felt like we had some bad voodoo on our side. Can't let that happen next week. 10-1 hook 'em. Yeah, and I haven't done my rewatch on this. Obviously, right after our game, we jumped into Texas A&M, Auburn, Bama, OU. I was watching a little bit of Notre Dame Army. So I haven't gone back, but the third quarter definitely felt weird. I have my normal stat sheet up here to discuss. I never felt so. This is just off the dome, right? In regards to our game, we win 31-14. We don't cover, but we win comfortably. Love the way we finished again, back to back weeks. I think that means something. On the road against Arkansas, this week against Kentucky, two very physical teams, two street fight teams that are very physical, like to, defensive line a whole bit. 2 weeks in a row, we finish going downhill with our offensive line smash mouth football. That makes me happy. Okay. 2 weeks in a row going downhill, Marshawn Lynch, like you say, run a motherfucker through his face. That's what we did. So if I'm looking for goodness to things to be encouraged by, right? Not just for A&M next week, not just for, I'm not even going to say the SEC championship game because we got to earn that, but just for everything to come of what our goals are, that physicality has to be there. That's something I've talked about since the end of the first half in the Georgia game. Was no matter what happens for the rest of the season, we have to have a mentality of whenever we really we got to be able to go physical and run downhill and control the line of scrimmage with the big humans we have. These guys are too talented not to be able to maul whenever they need to. So those that's a good thing, right? Now there's a lot of cleanup we got to do. A lot, you know, attention to detail type things. Uh, if you watch the Ohio, and I tweeted this earlier today, if you watch the Ohio State Indiana game, Indiana was competitive with Ohio State for a while there, right? 7-7 game, tight ball game. What broke that game open were special teams disasters, right? Not even just mistakes, but absolute disasters, right? Ball goes to the punter's hand. Caleb Downs takes a 79-yard punt return for a touchdown. These things are that blow the whole game open, right? And so seeing some of the we miss another field goal today. We have a fumble, a muff punt. I mean, I know these things don't kill us, but in moments like that, in environments like that, in situations like that, we must try to fix these things now before we get in those environments and they become killers. Uh, Shout out to 817, Mr. Talk Too Much was good. Hook 'em. Again, Darian, thank you for the super chat. We'll talk about all that though. What else do we got here? Let me go back up to make sure I didn't miss anything else. Yeah, the fumbling. I mean, that's another thing too. Another hidden thing of why we haven't been able to be more dominant in the run game, right? Is trust. How do I trust you? I mean, Luke Butler just said it right there. Do we have to live with Blue as a liability? Is what it is at this point. So fixing this, like that's the case with really all of the backs. I mean, Wisner's definitely been the best with ball security, but he's had a few slip as well, right? Jarrett Gibson would be playing more if he could had ball security, and Jaden Blue is getting in his own way. There's nothing there's nothing else to say. There's nothing else to say. Getting in their own way. Um, and I like Jaden Blue. He's an explosive player, great runner. I mean, he can do everything you need except for holding on that rock. That's what's keeping you back from greatness. I mean, you think about. I mean, every back fumbles at some point, but it's Matthew Miller, my buddy Matthew Miller. Shout out to him. He's the one that's been on this from the beginning, and I got to give him credit about. Yeah, it's one thing to fumble. It's another thing to fumble every, what, 30 or 40 touches you get the rock. That's not reliable, right? I mean, I can think of on my hand the amount of times Bijan fumbled. I mean, one of them was the Tech OT game, but like other than that, like the amount of times we trusted, because every time we snap the ball to you as a quarterback, or we hand the ball off to you as a running back, or we throw the ball to you as a receiver and you catch it, that's trust. We're trusting the university on your shoulders, young man, with that rock. That's trust. And when you put it on the ground or you put it on the carpet, you take it for granted, that trust is now compromised. And these are things that are holding ourselves ball security. Jonathan Brooks, don't recall him having a ball security issue. That's why he's in the pros. Don't recall Roshan Johnson having a ball security issue. That's why he's in the pros. You know that famous picture that my girl Rocky took of the whole running back room under Tashard Choice. Jaden Blue should be an NFL player, and he can be. But what's holding him back is that control in that rock. And you would think coming off of the playoff game last year where not just he, but also CJ fumbled, that's something to work on. But at this point, as Luke said earlier, at this point, you are who you are. Is that what you want to be defined as? Right? A guy who we kind of have to be careful with because you can't hold on to the rock, especially in big moments. Running inside, trying to run clock, trying to extend drives. Also the touchdown, right? Where it's like, okay, they gave you a touchdown. Why are we extending the ball for the goal line when it's not fourth down? Why are we extending the ball for the goal line when it's not fourth down? Have we studied Coach Belichick and their methodologies over there of why that's a no-no? And you see people doing it all over the country. I mean, and it is a certifiable risk you want to take. Terry Bussey did that today and scored for A&M. But we got to be careful. I mean, it's just ball security things. So I'll keep it moving on it. So at halftime, we were up 24-7. Um, yeah, we were up 24-7. Honestly, guys, I mean, I was frustrated um, with the mistakes and some of the cavalier mess we saw on offense. Obviously, Quinn went into halftime with the ankle stuff. I thought we were really sharp on in the first half. I mean, sorry, let's go. Let's start with the first half. I thought even to open the game, right, getting not even just getting Quinn in rhythm, but Quinn hitting early. Um, Guys getting into space like Matthew Golden, Gunnar Helm, and just executing the offense down the field. I thought the opening script was really good. Putting points on the board. 24 and a half against Kentucky is really good, right? You think you're off and running. Um, Timing seemed to be there. You're still getting that push in the run game. You're getting what you want, right? You're getting what you want. That's why I felt comfortable. Obviously, Kentucky made their adjustments at halftime and fought their asses off. Mark Stoops is a good coach, and they did what they had to do. They made Mark Stoops makes the adjustment to go to Cutter Boley, the young freshman quarterback, real talented kid, 6'5", could throw it, could run, mobile. Because obviously Brock Vandergriff was giving them nothing. I told you guys Kentucky's offense was, I questioned whether or not they were going to score. They did score. They scored one touchdown. The other touchdown they got with their defense. JDJ got I guess, a pick six on Quinn. But uh, they I never felt like the game was I never felt like the game was in jeopardy. It just felt like one of those games, and I'm not trying to make excuse or anything offensively because the defense was still standing on business for the most part. It just felt like one of those games where I'm like, just survive and get out of here and get your minds right for where everybody's heads are kind of at, which is the A&M situation. I know it's unfortunate because it's senior day, and they did have that focus in the first half. They did. They looked like they were attacking Kentucky. They had stuff for Kentucky. They had stuff for that defensive line. They came out with a plan. Now, what I'm encouraged by is after all the BS happened, especially in the third quarter, and it's just frustrating that we're in this game with Kentucky that we go on that 15 play no throw drive. That was for the culture of the team. That was for the attitude. That was for the defense. Where the defense got to say, where the offense got to say we got it from here, and the defense got to rest, and we got to do what I've been asking for is just mauling and run that ball. And just saying, you know what, let's be bullies. Let's show that physicality. Let's show that fight. Let's get this offensive line all of the confidence in the world going into next week, knowing that the run game is going to be key in order to keep Shamar Turner, Shamar Stewart, Regis, Scooby Williams, Torian York, Nick Scordon, all those dudes that are coming next week off of Quinn. I mean, Auburn tonight, you watch Auburn, they were able to run the football. Jarquez Hunter had a good day. They didn't run it crazy. They didn't go crazy running the ball like South Carolina did because they had a running quarterback, but they ran it well enough to keep Peyton Thorne to have that balance, right? So that's really, really important against a good front, especially a front where they can be susceptible to the deep ball. I told you guys A&M secondary was food, which you saw, but we're talking Texas right now. So let me continue on. Yeah, inside zone we ran well today. Look, Derek, your nephew, thought today was his best game as a Texas Longhorn overall. OU game, he was a dog. He's been a dog all year, but I thought Quintravian tonight was the every down back that you've seen in every Sark offense. I thought you saw that today. I thought his vision was phenomenal. and he ran with power and strength, ran with great leverage. So net, I thought today was his. You guys should be very proud of the work he put in today. I thought he ran really, really well. Yeah, look, we got to be grateful too, right? Because and grateful in this sense, you got a lot of how do I want to say, I mean, a lot of people talking about strength of schedule, who we've played, who we haven't played. And Kentucky beat a team today, or beat one of the teams that lost today that I was told was a playoff team in Ole Miss. Fraudulent, right? But Kentucky beat them. I was told that we hadn't played nobody, but apparently Bama had been playing people, even though they had lost to Vanderbilt. People seem to ignore that. And they were getting Bama has been getting the Bama pass, the benefit of the doubt for everything, and they go and get their ass whooped by a team we went full belt to ass on, and a team that's been getting belt to ass by most people in this conference. If we want to keep it a buck, I knew OU was going to be emotional tonight, play hard. We know the BB situation. I had that coming. I did not have them shutting Alabama down to 3 points. Milrow and those guys. I did not have them holding them to 3 points. So I was told, that. And then obviously what Florida went and did earlier today in the swamp. Back-to-back weeks now. So this is also why Texas deserves credit. If y'all going to say we just beat up on bad teams, okay, but at least we're not losing to bad teams. I mean, what else can I say? We can only play the people on our schedule. So at least we're not dropping games. Like we lost. Our lone loss was Georgia, where our offense, it was fright night for them in the first half. My defense has not yielded to anybody this year. I have yet to see my defense yield to anybody this year. They have been phenomenal in every game they've played. We will continue to talk about the special teams. That to me is the thing that keeps me up at night is Texas special teams. But offensively and all this other stuff, I mean, in the country right now, I think what we're learning today is who's the juggernaut out here that you're putting your money on to win the national championship. And why not Texas? Why not Texas? So, let's see. Let's see. Fahim said, and that's why I'm like, at some, you are building up a habit of winning. You are building up a habit of closing these games strong. The depth that we're finding on this team is for real. Jelani McDonald got a pick today, beautiful interception. Just seeing him develop, that depth that's coming. Andrew Makuba, can't say enough the good things about Andrew Makuba Sr. and what he's brought to this football team. Just phenomenal work coming from Clemson, professional. A guy that's going to be on an NFL team. Jade is obviously going to be on an NFL team. And that's us having some fall asleep moments, some lapses today. That was tough. So, all right. Y'all over here squabbling in the chat. What's going on? Is this Texas on Texas crime? Anthony Hill was out here. Anthony Hill was out here. And that's the perfect guy you want to have. Personnel like Anthony Hill, personnel like Colin Simmons, for what you're going to have to deploy against Colin Klein and Marcel Reed in that Texas A&M attack next week, right? And how you want to match up, as well as Amari Daniels. He had a obviously, his head is down right now with the drop in the fourth overtime, but Amari Daniels is still a really good back. That's who they're really, really leaning on right now. Between him and Marcel in the run game, no Ruben Owens, no Le'Veon Moss. It's going to be Amari, but uh, I like Trey Moore. Trey Moore is another one who the type of guys you need on the edge from a containment and a speed perspective to deal with a lot of that quarterback run. I am curious to see if A&M goes all hands on deck and deploys any Connor Weigman. Um, I think Marcel they got to let him develop and just play him. And that's your guy. I mean, clearly, I thought Marcel made some strides today after he looked like he was kind of just one read and putting his head down, and Auburn was jumping all over him. And then he made some big boy throws, and, he's going to be a good player. I'm really curious to see if Colin Klein and Mike Elko and those guys, if they do some of the stuff they did earlier in the year with like Missouri, right? What they did with LSU, where they have almost two different game plans with two different players if they do any of that stuff. It's all hands on deck when you're playing Texas. So I expect chicanery from them, especially with limited personnel. Look at Terry Bussey. Terry Bussey's my guy, by the way. I love Terry Bussey out of high school. Like Terry Bussey, I wanted him at Texas. But look how they're using Terry Bussey. He's already like a full-blown Swiss Army knife for everything. He's getting carries out of the backfield. They're lacking personnel over there. They had Terry Bussey carrying the ball at the goal line. So that should tell you, from a personnel standpoint, if you're paying attention, if you're Texas, with the depth that we have, do they have, I'm going to say this, against the Texas defense, does A&M have the depth on offense to go a full 12 rounds with our Texas defense, especially the way that Lole is playing, the way that Alfred Collins is playing, the way that Vernon Broughton is playing? Ethan Burke was getting active today. We already talked about Colin Simmons. We already talked about Ant Hill, Trey Moore, Baron Sorrell. That's a lot of firepower. That's more depth than Auburn had. A&M's not deep offensively. They're not, especially with the injuries and stuff that they got. And their wide receiving core is so you're asking Marcel to carry a lot, you're asking Amari to carry a lot, and now you're asking Terry Bussey to carry a lot. And carry more, I should say, not a lot. So I'm just curious what Colin Klein decides to do to try to mitigate some of those things. It's hilarious, isn't it, Dan? It's hilarious. Hey, Brensky, what's up, man? I'm sorry, brother. I'm sorry. I knew. I look. I first of all, I know what Auburn, Bama, and Auburn means for you, and I knew y'all. I knew y'all's focus was like not understanding that the Sooners at this point, not just fighting for a bowl, but just trying to make something make something of tangible value for this season in their SEC experience, which has been very, very rough so far. And you guys were the perfect op today in Bama. So, all you can do at this point is take it on the chin I had given Ty a hard time because Ty was talking about our schedule on Bleacher Report the other week, and I love you guys, but I don't want to hear about how questionable our schedule is when you guys are also losing to teams that are on where we have common opponent. That was where my frustration lied. But man, um, all you can do is take it on the chin and see where the cards lay next week after all is said and done. Still 12 teams, but with the Bama situation, the Ole Miss situation, obviously A&M still has some control over their stuff with playing us, but that was tough. That was tough, brother. Trey Moore has really come on. Trey Moore has really come on. Again, styles make fights. I do think. What's up, Landon? Appreciate the super chat, my friend. Yeehaw. Um, but styles make fights. I mean, going to I miss Sam Shepard's super chat here. Get this one as well. Sam said, "You want to give flowers to the run game, secondary, open field. We tackle well. A lot of people around. Defense wins championships. Yeah, defense. I mean, they just continue to impress me. Um, I mean, they really only gave up one real touchdown day. I know. Cutter Boley was out here looking impressive. Again, you had no prep, no nothing for. You have no idea who the hell that guy is at that point. You're just out here like, all right, we're trying to get information, right? Like what Floyd Mayweather used to say, first 3 to 4 rounds is trying to gather information, as much information on your opponent as possible on what the hell they're doing, and then boom, attack. And so that guy comes in the game. We're starting from scratch at that point too, because we don't not super familiar with him, but they did a good job staying within the confines of the game plan. Again, your offense gave up points, not they gave up 7 points. So he was moving the ball. Yes, he was moving the ball. But when we really had to knuckle up, now they also missed a field goal. Their guy had made like 18 straight field goals, I believe. The guy Rayner, and then missed one. So there was some luck there as well. But Sam, some of that luck that you need, and again, appreciate the super chat. That's where what they say, luck is just opportunity and preparedness meeting at the same place. I mean, you got to be prepared for those moments as well. So getting those stops. Let's see. Yeah, Will Corey said we played the schedule given to us. We just hey, that's all we can do. We line up and we put our pads on and we buckle up and we face who we're supposed to face. That's all we can do. I don't know what else to tell you. All right, so let me ask you guys this. I don't have a poll to show here. Ashley, what's up, sis? How we doing? I don't have I will have, and by the way, I saw your comment earlier, Ashley. Give me this. I will have a score prediction for you by midweek. Just hang with me there. But it's good to see you. Yeah, absolutely can win, every which way. Some of the leaky coverage, again, just reminders. From what I saw, and y'all correct me if I'm wrong, or you saw something different. I thought we just got a little lazy in our zones, our corners. There was a couple plays where we're in cover three, like the post that was completed to Macklin, where he it was a post, but he actually carried all the way across as like it was a crosser. The corner on the other side, which I believe was probably Manny Muhammad, since that was being run to the boundary, um, just didn't drop all the way. He probably saw there was no work initially, and then tried to cheat somewhere for a pick. So they were cheating a lot. And then Jade got caught one time because It's not a bad thing, but think about it. 2 or 3 of Jade's picks this year have come when we are in cover 3 and he didn't get any work, and so he freaking got to freelance over to somebody else. So that's not a bad thing when you're holding sound with your principles, but it can get exposed, right? And if a play extends, then you're like, where the hell's we're supposed to have somebody back there, right? But he vacated space. So those things are correctable. It's just staying disciplined, and reminding guys, look, we want to be, we trust you guys. Y'all are instinctive football players, and most times Jade is right when he comes up there and he's cheating, he's trying to guess, but every now and again, you know, I get it. And when I saw it, and we knew immediately, they're in the cover 3, man. They just didn't. The other guy over there just didn't drop all the way, right? So as long as they stay sound on those things, don't get lazy. I know the pass rush is much better this year, and it's made it. I think what we have to understand. I'm gonna make this point real quick, and please hear me out on this. I give all the credit in the world to the improvement of our defensive back play with Makuba, with Jade Barron taking the next step, just the Michael Taft being a leader, Manny Muhammad's development. We have better football players than we've had in a long time collectively. Jalen Gilbo's taking the next step in his development. They wouldn't be this good without the defensive line. The secondary is like that because our pass rush is like that. Agree or disagree with me, y'all? Our secondary is like they go hand in hand. Okay. And so as the secondary has improved, that has been married with the improvement of the edge talent. They go hand in hand. So now that we have a freaking killer who's coming off the bench like a crazy ass 6-man in Colin Simmons, you have Anthony Hill who's one of your leading sack guys last year, who's also still one of your best pass rushers, who you can use as an edge if you want to. You still have your 2 starting edges from last year, and Ethan Burke and Baron Sorrell that are dogs. I got a transfer and Trey Moore who's now come on. I mean, doesn't that kind of match the depth and versatility that you see on the back end? They're married, and it's a healthy marriage. It's a good marriage. It's a marriage where, you know what, y'all are getting home, so yeah, I'm gonna cheat up a little bit, try to get that pick. It's not a coincidence that we have more sacks and we have more interceptions. Those two things go hand in hand. It's disruption, it's chaos. We did not have that type of edge play last year. We didn't also have the same type of personnel in the back end, but they went hand in hand. Our edge play and our pass rush was solid last year, and our secondary was solid last year. We made our money in the middle. Jalen Ford, young Anthony Hill, Tavondre Sweat, Byron Murphy in the middle. But as this defense has matured and spaced out, that marriage of pass rush, organic pass rush, we don't send heaters like other people do. We have heaters and we can send heaters. We don't need to send heaters. We can play coverage because a lot of times our guys can get home and provide pressure. And so that's not a coincidence why we have, how many interceptions do we have on the season now? I think it's like 17 with the Makuba pick. I think that was the set. We had 16, 17 interceptions. Jelani got one today and Makuba got one today. I think we have 17 interceptions on the season. We have 16? Okay. All right. I thought we had 15 coming into the game. I know we got 2 today. So I thought we had gotten up to 17. But that's all I'm saying. If that makes sense to everybody. Your pass rush and your secondary are married. That's most levels of football. That's most levels of football. Yes, we are playing better technique. Yes, the coverages are more aligned. Yes, we have better communication. It also helps if you're back there and you know these dudes got to get the ball out quick because Colin Simmons is back there. And you know that if you're John A. Barron, he can play that way. They're not about to be running around for 6 seconds. I need to jump something because either you're trying to get the ball out quick or you're throwing a YOLO ball. That's what's happening versus Texas. Either you're trying to get it out quick or it's a YOLO shot. They synced up. We are synced up. That's why the defense is so good. And then we have not. This is the second. This is the next point about why the defense is so good. Our X-Man factor, as Rob Baber says, and I love Rod, and I love that point he always makes about X-Man abilities. I learned that from him. Our X-Man abilities, our X-Man factors last year was our big guys stopping the run, the middle of our defense. We basically like the old Chris Beard basketball term, no middle, right? You either going all the way outside this way or you either going all the way outside. We while we don't have that type of personnel and that type of dominant impact in the middle, we have not had a drop off to where people are just living in there. We now look, there were some gap runs today that we let through. We opened the game with it. They're frustrating. There's some spills. John Wayne says middle linebacker is suspect. I don't think it's as bad as he says, but we're also not as good as we were. But I don't think, John, I'm sorry, but I don't think that the drop off has been so bad that it's impacted everything. I think that we've held serve in that area and gotten better overall as a defense and better equipped to win at a higher level based upon the way we're built, right? Because at the end of the day, when we play in these high leverage games, it is going to be more about your pass rush, your secondary. I mean, that's how we lost in the playoffs last year to Washington. So if we had this defense, I mean, imagine if we had this defense, this the way we run defense now, especially with Johnny Nansen here versus Penix and those, and we'd have a better chance. That's more equipped to that. Oh, this defense with Sweat and Murphy we'd be almost like the LSU version, the LSU offensive version. It'd be like so the LSU offense of 2019. We'd be like the Bama defenses of the early. Like I feel like that was the flip side of the LSU 2019, 2021 Georgia. There we go. I'm saying a lot of shit, but y'all know what I mean. Like those type of groups. If you had those two here, sheesh, there'd be nowhere to go, nowhere to hide. I mean, right now people are still handing the ball off and just trying to run out of it. I think today was only the second game. Maybe we gave up over 200 yards passing. We gave up 211 today. Just fierce, every level, every level. Alan Trey Moore is hushing the haters. I think also to be fair to Trey, there was an adjustment period for him. Okay. Big step up in competition. He didn't just step into Power Four ball, he stepped into SEC ball. He's also stepping into not playing the whole game, playing in a rotation now, playing against tackles with length. A lot of, I think it was the healthiest thing for him because had he gone, to the NFL or anything like that, maybe he gets exposed, but now he really, he's adjusted. And he has high IQ, as Siemens one says here he reads screens well. He's really good. That's why he's good against mobile QBs. He's good with contain. He can kind of leak out every now and again to the flats and get his hands on stuff. So Trey is shown his value. What I liked about Trey was when the sacks weren't coming, when the numbers weren't coming, I still saw the motor. Now I had questions with everybody else, like, man, is this guy just another jag? Blah blah blah. Like, what's going on? But the motor was always there with him. And now you're seeing that he's used to playing against this competition, that he's figured some things out. The production has followed. I think that's a really, really positive thing. Makuba or AD Mitchell for best portal pickup. Oof. I'm gonna go Makuba. I love AD Mitchell only because of our woes in the secondary. Like we've at least had dogs at receiver. I mean, look at Matthew Golden now, um, and everything. But Andrew Makuba is playing safety. This is the most common sense secondary I've ever seen at Texas. Like we don't do dumb shit in the secondary. If there's a bust or there's something um that they're off with, that they miss, they fix it, they talk. They obviously have good relationships. Uh, they're such good sound open field tacklers. That's another reason why we don't give up big runs. Like when we do have those spills, we're normally able to wrap up. Him and Taff are really good at wrapping up in the open field. So I've been so impressed with what Andrew Makuba has given us. I'm thankful that this is the combination that they landed on. I remember before the season we were talking about the multiple combinations, and it helped because Jelani McDonald, obviously getting all those preseason reps with the ones, has come back to help us because he's had to play a lot of football for us once Derek Williams went down. So though that was justified for his development, but when it comes to the main thing being the main thing, the main guys out there, Makuba, Taff, Jelani, the man, that's a good group. Landon, thank you for the other super chat, man. I appreciate it. Big Bender week coming in College Station, downhill and fill. Again, styles make fights. We got the matchups. We have the personnel to do that. David Benda, obviously, his strength is being a torpedo, and playing fast through the A gap, B gap, and being an explosive athlete. More vertically than horizontally. This should be a good fit for him this week against Amari Daniels, um, and Chase Biontis and Crown Over and all those guys trying to get underneath, beating those guys with speed underneath. We've seen David Benda do that throughout his Texas career in big matchups, helping us in the run game. So I agree with Landon there in terms of what he can potentially provide, as well as what he provides against Marcel. So I like the options there. Also, Mo Blackwell came back today. I don't know if anybody saw that too. He made a really big play on I think it was it the third down play or the fourth down play to on the fourth down side where Lole made the tackle. I thought that was Mo Blackwell that came in there and blew that thing up. So it was good to see him back. Those were massive plays. Massive plays. That see those type of things didn't allow the game to get crazy. Those type of things kept the game to where it's like, because again, we go talk about Quinn and this whole thing. I see people arguing about it, so I might as well get to it. But I wasn't tripping over Sark, making a decision because we weren't desperate. We were up 2 scores, even when all hell was breaking loose in the third quarter, and seemed frustrated. I still felt like you have to have that feel as a coach, and I felt that watching the game as a fan. I'm like, this game's not out of control. We just have to reestablish the line of scrimmage, and that's exactly what they did in the fourth quarter. Now, am I concerned that Quinn did something athletic and got himself hurt again? Yes, it's frustrating. Am I concerned that that's how he looked after he got hurt? Yes. Am I concerned that we had to get to the point where we were so frustrated that we went to what we kind of did against Baylor a few years ago? You remember when we just like F it, we're just gonna run the ball down their throats and kind of take the ball out the quarterback's hands. That's what we did. However, that's okay in this scenario. Now, again, the injury stuff, if he is injured to the point where it will be prohibitive to his performance and helping the team, then that needs to be evaluated on whether or not he should be on the field. That is fair. That has nothing to do with who's better than who or anything like that. But Quinn, look, I tweeted this. I thought Quinn was damn near flawless in the first half. I thought he played really clean football in the first half. Now, again, like I said, he does something athletic and he has a little run and he gets injured and it's like, shit, man, like you're limping and all this type of stuff. That's frustrating. But coming out the gate, he was putting the ball on guys. He was on time. The deep ball stuff is the deep ball stuff at this point. That's that now that is I've reached the point with the deep ball where unless it's a coverage bus, that's just Quinn. But everything else I can win with and I can move the ball with no problem. Gunnar Helm, Matthew Golden, Isaiah Bond, even with his limited health, they're fine. They can move the rock, especially with the combination of the run game. They can move the rock. They will move the rock against A&M if that's how they play in the first half. But if all of a sudden it's like, man, is he so fragile that it's like a Mr. Glass situation where he gets hurt, boom, one hit, now I'm limping, and my whole performance goes to trash. Is what do you do, right? I think Sark made the right call today, personally, because it would have been a whole other thing if he put Arch in there. There was no need to. We had control. We really did. And the other thing too is like, all right, well, if you're gonna bench Quinn, we bench Jaden Blue, bench the fumblers too, because that was part of the problem too. It wasn't just quarterback play. Guys weren't holding on to the rock. So um, I'm not saying that it's not a concern. Okay, I'm not saying that I don't have. Now everybody's going to be asking questions about his health and where we're going and all this type of stuff. Those questions are going to be asked, but I personally think today, understanding who the opponent was, Kentucky not being very good. I mean, how much of you have margin? Is what I'm saying. You have margin. Why are y'all arguing? What is going on in the comment section? Bro said, "Are y'all blind or willfully unobservant?" Damn, what is going on? I'm trying to just share my thoughts, and people are getting mad. All right, let me do this. Let's look at some stats. My bad. I was just trying to look at the stats for today. Steve with the terrible tech work. I'm trying to learn something new here. Leave me alone. Leave me alone. Um, I'm just going to go back to that. I have not figured out how to. Steve with the terrible tech work. That's funny. Oh my gosh, y'all are hilarious. I don't know what's going on here right now. All right, let me just keep that there so I can see what the hell's going on. So I apologize for that. Let's see. Anyway, I'll look at the stats while I'm talking to y'all. I need to look at this. Okay. So Quinn today, 20 and 31, 191, 2 touchdowns, no picks. See, that's the thing. Like, so Quinn on the season, I think, is what, 24 touchdown. Like the statistical output is still not going to be, especially with the first half he had. I mean, there's really like no grounds for criticism. Like, oh man, Quinn looked great today, blah blah blah. But again, it was a tale of two halves. Let's just be honest. It was a tale of two halves. So that's number one. Number two, um, the running backs, Wisner, Blue. So even with the ball security stuff, Wisner goes for 158 today, 26 carries. Bell cow, my boy. And then Jaden Blue, 15 carries, 96 yards. He almost had 100 himself. And a touch. And look, Marlon, you've been texting me about this. Um, how how explosive does Jaden Blue look this year? Does he look as fast as last year? I think the explosiveness is back. I think he looked very fast today. I think he's also healthier. Again, holding on to that rock. Holding on to that rock. Period. Look, again, too. If that the fumble six, again, I understand you're in pain, Bubba. I understand all that. It was just such nasty work, though. It just looks so unathletic. Like some of it is just how it looks. Like that plays into the narrative, right? But um, yeah, and some of it can be on Sark with the play calling, 100%. Again, you saw when we really wanted to get about that business and downhill. You saw with the run. That's why I'm like, it's also on the coaches to decide what the tone is going to be because the offensive line can set the tone. This is why I don't know who said it first, but somebody in the comments said the first comment, one of the first comments said the lateral plays, right? Why do we always open the game laterally? And I get it if there's numbers or space or whatever, but now over the last 3-4 years, like that's just what we do. We just decide. It was John. We just decide. Like I don't know why we don't like try to get them lathered up. Like I don't know. I don't know. That's their way of getting them going. They know more football than I do. They've forgotten more football than I'll know. So, and I understand us being a pass. Somebody said, okay, pass to open the run team for sure. What about tendency breakers? You don't think other teams know that? I mean, especially the way everybody watched Texas, especially the way everybody pay attention to Texas. You don't think everybody else knows that we're trying to pass it up the run? I understand that's the type of team you are. You don't want to vacate from your whole vibe. I get it because, at the end of the day, you are who you are and you want to play to your strengths. Get it. I'm just saying, just mix in some tendency breakers here and there. Like, we shouldn't be. We shouldn't be able to like know that we're opening with some sort of bubble screen or swing pass to the back concept to open the game. So we do it on the first play every game. Go look at. I mean, Nash puts the plays up on YouTube. Go look at every play, every game. We're not just saying that for vibes. Quinn does have good ball fakes. He does have. He's good ball handling in terms of end arounds. A lot of stuff I mean, because some of that stuff weren't our late season installs and our variations are built off of other plays. So that's one thing I'll definitely give him credit for, 100%. And it's an underrated skill because some quarterbacks are trash at it, but it's not something that quarterbacks necessarily get graded on. But it's something that can help the concept of the play in terms of ball handling, fakes, being able to show that true RPO fake. I think this is on occasion, Joey. They're definitely critical with the backs. I do think though that they did go back to Jaden Blue and they did keep running him. But they got to earn that trust. Stop fumbling. Stop fumbling. You like okay, Marlon said you're terrified. You're terrified every time he's in traffic. So am I. But I mean, is how long Jaden Blue been in the program? Was he a 2022 guy? Right? Jaden Blue was class of 2022, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, that's in this year 3. Shouldn't I mean the first year didn't really play like that. So at some point, like especially since the last 2 years, you've been a part of the offense. It'd be different if it was like the first year. Okay, I'm adjusting to this level. Blah blah blah. Nah, you've been in the offense. You've been playing college football for 3 years. You gotta like, and I get it. It's a different challenge for some backs with it. Some backs can clear it up just with their technique and they don't have to worry about it. Some guys, it's a career struggle just with how they play, with how they move, right? With how they cut, with how they set up a move or something. So Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, he was 22 class. Okay. Okay. All right. Any other comments on today's game? I mean, we're gonna have a lot of content this week. I'm gonna just put it that way. Let me look at the stats. Matthew Golden, just parting thoughts for me, and then I want to end this conversation with A&M talk. Matthew Golden continues to be underrated. Isaiah Bond's clearly not healthy. That's a concern. Um, I'm hoping that whatever happens the next week or two, we can get Bond healthy for the playoffs. To win a natty, we need him healthier. He's um I think Isaiah's moving like you can tell he's kind of banged up out there. DeAndre Moore, he's got his ankle problem. He's not healthy either. Um Want to see us try to get Ryan Wingo back on track. He's been quiet the last half of the season. Wingo has. He's still out there. And still, it's not like he's not playing, but you're not seeing the same 70-yard games. I mean, you look at his peers. Cam Coleman tonight on Auburn had a monster game. Now we know Cam Coleman's being showcased in that offense, and he's being asked to do a lot more than what we asked Ryan Wingo to do right now. But with some of the injury concerns that we have in the receiver room, obviously Jonte Cook deciding not to be here, we need to get Wingo going more. Wow, 2 Wingo comments back to back. One person said Wingo was a little too content to try and draw fouls today rather than going to get the ball. Marlon said Wingo had a touchdown, but Quinn missed him. Sam said we can use him on end arounds. Yep. Yep. Yeah, they're gonna have to reel Silas in, man. I can see it a mile away. Mile away. Next week, College Station, big time. And he's trying to make a play. Turn, let's go. And it's like, bro, let's have some discernment back here, especially as a punt returner. Especially as a punt returner. Like, your job isn't just to like try to create a big play and try to score, but he your job is field position and protecting our field position and having discernment over where the ball is and where I try to field this, where I get to return this, or when I got to let it go and communicate to my teammates, whatever the signal is. And where I grew up, it was Peter, but Peter, get out of the way, fuck out of here, it's a grenade, right? But whatever you coach or teach, right? So um, I just think they're playing with fire. At this point, he's your guy. Like, there's not. I think Jonte was the backup punt returner, if I'm not mistaken. He's your guy, but it's just having good discernment back there. That's all we need. I'm not saying don't return punts. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying don't take calculated risk. I'm just saying it doesn't need to be these crazy choose your own adventure missions every single time they punt the ball, no matter what the situation is in the game. Sometimes it's like, brother, chill. It's the second quarter. We're good right now. So Marlon said don't return punts. I think it's too late. I don't know because then are you just saying put somebody back there to be punt safe? Is that what you're saying? I don't know if that's productive. I mean, he was brought here to be a kick returner. But look, anytime you go into a game, 452 total yards, 261 through the air for Texas. Obviously, that negated with some sack yardage, and then another buck 91 on the ground, which probably would have been over 200 yards if not for the weird college rules with how they handle yards, whatever. But I'll take it yards wise. Now let's look at the team stats. We're on like third downs and shit. So third down, 6 of 13. I'll take that. That's fine. That's almost 50%. 2 for 3 on fourth down. Now the one we didn't convert, I was a little upset with Quinn on that one. I don't understand why you're throwing the ball into the dirt on fourth down when you have man coverage down the field with Wingo. Yes, he's running out. Yes, he's covered. Put that ball up. Throw a 50-50 ball. I'm not cool with just throwing that shit into the grass on fourth down. I know you can't run. I'm not asking you to run for that. But I saw that out route behind where y'all were trying to go conceptually. I also didn't like the whole play call, so that's also on Sark. I didn't, getting under center and doing all that cutesy stuff. That's not what we do. I knew we weren't going to line up and just run the ball. So now, if I feel that way, I'm pretty sure Kentucky felt that way and they covered accordingly. But that out route there, even, try to put it over the outside, high over the outside shoulder and see if he can toe tap it. But don't just throw the ball in the dirt. That's just me. Nitpicky, yes, but something to pay attention to that could be costly in a big game where every little possession matters. Every you're fighting for every little inch of margin. Did not like that play call. It's okay. I mean, I like most of Sark's play calls. Most of them are awesome. Most of them, even the ones that don't get executed, it's more of a, how should I say this? The ones that don't get executed are typically more, have nothing to do with, he had the beater, but we just didn't, kind of self-explanatory, right? But there's times where I'm like, Sark, come on, bro. Let's read the room here. But it's. I think he's also improved a lot as a play caller, play designer, as overall coach in the last few years as well. So I some of the stuff I used to complain about, I'm not necessarily complaining about now either. That's where I'm at, Drew. Just gets a little too cute sometimes. What else do we want to discuss? What's time possession look like? Let's see. Turnovers, we were even, but they got a score. Penalties, kind of even. They had 6 penalties for 36 yards. We had 5 penalties for 40 yards. I don't know what our TOP looked like, but defensively, Anthony Hill, monster game, 2 sacks. Colin Simmons had a sack. Baron Sorrell had a sack. Makuba had a pick. Trey Moore had a sack and a half. To Anthony Smith combined for the other sack, and then Jelani McDonald. So good stuff. Good stuff. All right. So raise your hand if you watched the Texas A&M Auburn game. And now that it is officially A&M, we can focus on them. What did you see? Right? Because on Friday I told you my analysis was what I wanted to see how they would deal with Peyton Thorne. I wanted to see how they would deal with Jarquez Hunter. I wanted to see how they would cover Cam Coleman. And they did a very poor job to start that football game. And they did a very poor job throughout the game with some of their deep coverage, staying connected, the whole bit. Thanks, Temple Wonder. Appreciate you being in here. Good night, man. Um, especially knowing what's at stake for the season, knowing that as a program, you're trying to show people that, look, I think it's okay to say we were prepping for Texas, but you also be honest and keep it a buck and say, look, um, we're going to try to prove that we're not that program that just gets up for certain opponents, and we're going to take everything seriously. We're a good competitive program. I don't want to hear excuses about this year one, all type of stuff. Nah, y'all were beating your chest. You said you guys were going to be contenders. You are right now. Stand on it. You lost to a 1-5 team in the conference, but it was the same A&M fans, because I got smoke for these folks right now. These are the same folks that were trying to tell us how weak our schedule was, even though they had not played Georgia, they hadn't played Bama, they hadn't played Tennessee. Who's they didn't play? Florida, Mississippi State, Auburn, South Carolina, Missouri, LSU. They didn't play Ole Miss. But you over here want to poke holes in somebody else's schedule. And how'd that work out? At least we handle our food, and we do what we're supposed to do when we favor, whether we're at home or on the road. Because I took a picture of that nasty stat they showed tonight of A&M losing 11 of their last 13 road games. That you cannot hide. Royce is what I was speaking on earlier. Roy said A&M isn't very deep, but they will play with their hair on fire next week if you can score. They're not deep. They're not. But they will. But 100%. And I like their entrance. Their little power entrance. Little uh, that shit's lit. Their little entrance is lit. They're gonna come out there charged up. It's been 13 years. It's been a lot of Twitter fingers. It's been a lot of Reddit stuff. It's been a lot of message boards. Now is the time for the pads. Now is the time. There's no more time for talk. Once Saturday gets here, right? No more hypotheticals. Strictly on the field. And when I look at what is happening on tape, right? Because yeah, they can come out and play at a charged up energy. Yeah, they can come out and play better than they did against Auburn. But you can't hide who you are on film. Over the course of the film, you are who you are will show up. Just like it happened with Auburn today. They won the game. But what we saw with Auburn all year, I've told people this, if you watch Auburn and didn't have the score up and it was the middle of the game, but you don't know anything about them. You don't know their record. You don't know where their players are from. You're just watching them play. And you don't know any context of the game. You'd be like, Auburn's a good game, a good team. Excuse me. Auburn's talented. They got NFL personnel. Clearly, they got guys that can play defense at all three levels. This is a really good team. Young talent everywhere. But when you start applying common sense, logic, situational football mentality, Auburn goes to shambles. And you saw that play out because that's how they've been losing games all year. That's how Auburn's been losing games all year. They're not 1-5. Like people aren't rolling up to Jordan-Hare this year, smoking them. No. It's a fumble through the end zone with 2 minutes left when I'm trying to run it in. It's we should have called a timeout before we ran that dumbass play over the middle to Kip, where Kip Lewis picks it off when we were up 2 scores. All these games, you notice they were up half some of these games. So Auburn is just a frustrating, funky football operation that has a lot of talent. And if you catch them at the right night, like tonight, they can whoop your ass, even with all the dysfunction. Yeah, Drew said them false starts are out of control. Trent texted me and said, "How do you false start 4 times at home, Steve? How are you having trouble holding your water at home?" Look, I'm not going to talk too much about Auburn because we didn't play them this year, so it wasn't somebody I've even. But I watched their games. But what I will say is, don't hit me with our schedule's weak when you're taking L's to people at the bottom of the conference. I don't want to hear about schedule, not from you. How many people, I mean, how many teams can really, really hit us with the schedule thing? Real rap. Georgia. Like people that have Florida. Florida played the hardest schedule I've ever seen in my life. But I don't want to hear you talk about my schedule if you played an FCS program or bottom tier program in November. I don't want to hear from you about our schedule. I'm sorry. Not when you told me we were supposed to be in this SEC gauntlet. Not when you told me that this ain't the Big 12 anymore. That's what I was told. Yeah, here we are a year later with the same record. Fighting for the same thing again, which is a testament to, well, yeah, Georgia played UMass today. UMass quarterback was kind of boogieing on him a little bit for a little bit. Put up 21. But yeah. I mean, we all we can do is yeah. What we're not doing with this easy schedule is losing to unranked teams. We're handling our business. We're actually consistent. We're not a werewolf where people are popping up once a month like gangbusters and then they don't do nothing for the next 3 weeks and then they pop up again. That's not what we used to be like that. That's not us now. All right, I'm gonna call it a night. Um, Time for A&M prep. Quinn is a werewolf. I'm not gonna argue with you on that tonight. Uh, but look, what a beautiful night of college football, and excited for this week to come. Excited to get ready. Excited to prepare for what I believe is going to be an unbelievable environment next Saturday. Trent sleep. Trent is asleep. He went to bed right after that A&M, after that 4 overtime game. But I'm here running this thing late night. Anyway, I appreciate you guys so very much. Hit the like button, subscribe, the whole bit. It is officially A&M week. It is officially we're actually getting the game this week. So excited to go back to our second home, Daddy's home, November 30th. A&M fans, if you're in the chat, I appreciate you all the same. Make sure you're in it one more time. Hit that like button, subscribe the whole bit. Remember, horns always up. Hook 'em.